In every town, there are stories whispered only when the night is dark and the streets are empty. Stories about people who walk among us ordinary by day, but something entirely different when the sun goes down. Today's tale is about a man known across the village as Oroko, a harmless, wandering madman who danced in the streets, muttered to himself, and collected useless items nobody wanted. To the villagers, Oroko was harmless. To the children, he was funny. To the elders, he was a sad reminder of how fragile the human mind can be. But when the moon appeared, when the streets emptied, when the lamps went out, Oroko became something else entirely. This, dear listener, is the story of the man who lived two lives, one in the sun and one in the shadows. A story that teaches us that evil sometimes hides behind the face we trust the most. Stay with me. They said he was harmless. They said he was just a wandering madman whose mind had long left him. Every morning, as the sun stretched across the rooftops of the village, Oroko appeared shuffling out from beneath the old bridge he called home. His coat, patched more times than anyone could count, flapped loosely around his thin body. He hummed songs nobody recognized, danced to rhythms only he could hear, and spoke in riddles that made no sense. Children giggled when they saw him. Some ran to him just to watch him spin in circles. Market women smiled with pity and handed him scraps of food. The elders shook their heads and prayed that madness would never touch their own families. To everyone, Oroko was simply there, a fixture of the village. Like the ancient tree in the square or the broken well no one bothered to fix. But every evening, something strange happened. Just as the sun began to sink, Oroko would disappear. Not slowly, not gradually. He vanished like a shadow being pulled away by the coming darkness. People assumed he wandered off to sleep. Others thought madness made him restless at night. No one questioned it. No one suspected that the same harmless man who laughed and danced during the day became something else entirely when the moon took over. For months, the village was troubled by a quiet terror. Children vanished without a trace. One week it was a little girl returning from the stream. Another week, a boy who had gone to play near the farms. At first, people blamed animals, then neighboring villages, then witches, then curses. Fear grew like a creeping vine. Doors were locked before sunset. Children were kept indoors. Night gatherings stopped. Even the birds seemed to sing more cautiously. But one man watched closely. Obololu, a quiet, sharp-eyed hunter, noticed something no one else had. Every disappearance took place on nights when Oroko had vanished earlier than usual. And every morning after one of those nights, Oroko returned with dust on his clothes, scratches on his arms, and eyes that looked too clear to aware for a madman. Obololu had spent years tracking animals. He knew the patterns of predators. And something about Oroko unsettled him deeply. One night, he decided to follow him. He waited by the old bridge, hidden behind trees, and watched as Oroko emerged just before sunset. But tonight, Oroko did not hum. He did not dance. He did not stagger or speak in riddles. He walked straight, steady, silent, purposeful. The transformation was so shocking that Obololu felt his skin prickle. This was no madman. This was a man wearing madness like a coat. Obololu followed quietly, keeping a distance as Oroko slipped into the forest. The deeper they went, the darker the world became until a strange wooden shack appeared. Hidden behind vines and trees, Oroko knocked 3 times. A dim light flickered inside. Then Obololu heard it, a child's faint cry. His heart pounded. He crept closer and peered through a hole in the wall. Inside were 3 children, tied but alive. On a table were maps, notes, and a list of names. Oroko stood tall, calm, and focused, no madness in him at all. Obololu's breath shook. Oroko was the one taking the children. As Obalolu prepared to slip away, Oroko suddenly stopped moving. His head lifted slowly, his eyes narrowed, and he turned directly toward the wall where Obalolu hid. The children whimpered. Oroko stepped closer, closer. His shadow stretched across the hut floor. Then, in a voice Obalolu had never heard before, steady, cold, not a hint of madness, Oroko spoke. "You've been following me, haven't you?" Obalolu's entire body froze. The forest fell silent. No insects, no wind. Nothing. Oroko continued, almost whispering, "Come out, or I will come for you first." Obalolu's heart slammed against his ribs. He didn't know if he had been seen, or if Oroko was bluffing, or if the next sound he made would determine whether he lived or died. The hunter held his breath. The lantern inside the hut flickered. Oroko took one slow step toward the door. Then another. Then, will Obalolu run? Will Oroko catch him? Or has the madman known all along? Obalolu waited until Oroko turned away before slipping back into the shadows, running as fast as he could toward the village. He burst into the chief's compound before dawn, breathless and shaking. When he told the elders what he had seen, disbelief covered their faces. "Oroko? Impossible. He is harmless. He cannot even think straight." But Obalolu insisted, describing every detail: the hut, the children, the calmness in Oroko's voice. Finally the chief agreed. "Tonight, we will follow him together." When night fell, 12 men hid in the forest, silent, gripping lanterns and sticks. Minutes later, Oroko appeared right on schedule, walking straight into the shack. He entered confidently, unaware he was being watched. When the villagers stormed the hut, Oroko froze. For the first time, they saw his true face, not confused, not lost, not mad, but sharp, calculating, cold. He didn't struggle. Instead, he smiled. "So," he said quietly, "you finally saw through the mask." The villagers gasped. The voice they heard was steady, nothing like the man they thought they knew. Oroko confessed not out of guilt, but because he believed no one could outsmart him. He explained how he used madness as a disguise because society ignored the mad. "No one questions a fool," he said. "No one watches someone they believe is broken." He had used pity as his shield. But tonight, the shield cracked. The rescued children cried as they were carried out of the hut. Parents ran to them hours later, collapsing in tears as they embraced their sons and daughters. The village bound Oroko securely and handed him over to the regional authorities. His secret hut was burned and the forest was purified by the elders' rituals. Peace returned, but so did a new lesson. The villagers learned that evil does not always rule. Sometimes it laughs. Sometimes it dances. Sometimes it wears a mask everyone trusts. From that day, parents told their children the story of Oroko, the man who pretended to be mad by day and hunted by night. They told it not as a tale of fear, but as a warning. Evil may hide behind weakness. Danger may wear the gentlest smile. And sometimes, the person we ignore is the one we should have watched the most. Yet the greatest lesson was this: good wins when good people pay attention. And though Oroko was gone, some villagers swore they still heard his humming whenever wind blew across the old bridge, a reminder that darkness can hide in the brightest daylight.
This year for Christmas I want for